Don't miss round 22 where the West Tigers and the Cronulla Sharks go head-to-head at Scully Park in Tamworth this Saturday, 13th of August at 5:30pm. And you can experience the action live and loud from the home of West Tigers, West Ashfield. West Ashfield offers great dining options. Choose from the Garden Bistro or walk on for some mouth-watering Asian cuisine. For more information, visit West Ashfield's website, westashfield.com.au, or follow them on Facebook or Instagram at West Ashfield. For those who've never been, West Ashfield is the home of West Tigers, and you can find them at 115 Liverpool Road, Ashfield. God, I sound a bit nasally, don't I? Got a bit of the Bill Lorries tonight. Welcome into the WestsLife Podcast. I'm your host, Josh Barnett. As I just said on that ad, we are sponsored by West Ashfield Leagues, the best place to watch the game live and loud, and you can do that again this weekend as we take on the Cronulla Sharks, and we're also sponsored by MG Pump Solutions. Big Shane, he did watch some of the game on the weekend, and you can imagine his reaction. But no Shane tonight. At WestsLife Pod on Instagram and Twitter. And if you want to support us and take part in the show, patreon.com/WestsLife, and on the YouTubes, please give us a subscribe. We want to really push that channel, get it up towards 1,000 if we can. So, all the episodes are on there. If you're listening on audio, you can watch us. There's plenty of pretty pictures on the video stream tonight. So, So welcome in to everyone who's joining us. I've seen a few people.
There, Josh. Hello.
He's muted himself.
Can you hear me, boy?
I just got a couple of words out of you, mate. But...
Oh, my microphone's. Can you hear me now?
It's in the distance, mate. You must have two mics on or something. Cannot hear you properly.
Yeah. Tell us about the weekend, Rob, while I fix that up. I'm not sure what's going on.
What would you like me to talk about, mate?
How was the game, obviously, on the weekend?
How was the game on the weekend? Well, when your expectations are high and you show up and your team that's played well against Parramatta, Penrith, the Cowboys, Broncos, all in the finals, all going to be in the finals, and you get your hopes up, and you think you're going to kick a Newcastle team that's lost 4 in a row without their best two players, Palmer and Clemmer, a nice home crowd, something to build on, something to look forward to, and then they produce the shit that we saw yesterday. How do you think I feel? Mate? If it had been 20-0 at halftime, I would have left and gone home. It was an absolute fucking shit show. And I'm not going to single players out. Just as a team, we just did not show up. No markers, no defensive line speed, no attack, no nothing. Even the crowd was just tame. The crowd was timid. I don't know what was going on. I didn't know what I was doing there. I could have watched it in the library and had more noise there. It was just awful, mate. It was absolutely awful. I just couldn't wait to get home. And, I was sitting with my cousins and a few friends, and I wasn't very sociable, to be honest, mate. You just knew after 10 minutes we weren't even interested. It was terrible.
Yeah, that was... very disappointing. You could tell very early on the TV. Maybe I did pick a good week to get COVID, but you could definitely tell on the TV just the energy, just letting the Newcastle Knights roll through. It sucked. I'm assuming my audio's back okay now.
Yeah, I can hear you now, but there's like a little bit of static in your background there, so I don't know what's causing that. But okay. No, I can definitely hear some static. But yeah, I can hear you pretty clearly though.
As you drove all the way to Orange and all the way back again for that game, that must have been a pretty silent drive home.
Yeah, the drive home earlier today was pretty quiet. Like Rob, I went to the game full of confidence, thinking that, the team's finally on the up. They're going to finish the season strong. the team had just come back from 2 really solid weeks up in Queensland, and that I thought we were going to have a really good performance at home. But I think it's pretty safe to say the team that played those 2 games up in Queensland decided to stay up there. It was disappointing to say the least. I got back home today feeling pretty flat, and I had a lot of news to catch up on as well. So it's been a long weekend.
I thought I'd give a theme to the show tonight because I didn't really want to harp on about the game too much, and I think people probably don't really want to listen to too much about that game. We will review it a little bit, but I thought the suburban ground thing. So firstly, obviously Leichhardt Oval had a few obviously a fence break and a few people got injured, luckily not seriously from what I've read, but it literally the week that the New South Wales government said they weren't going to fund suburban grounds, and then that happens at Leichhardt, and then we played Campbelltown yesterday, and the team just but they seem to have played with more heart, as you said, as in Queensland than at Campbelltown, which is just odd. So I thought tonight would be as good as time as ever. And I saw a lot of discussion. We had a lot of back and forth on Twitter and Facebook. I saw a lot of people, and I really don't want to get it into make it a Balmain versus West thing. I know somehow some people will. But obviously, one ground is Balmain, one ground is West, so it's probably going to happen. But I put together a few stats and that sort of thing. People were throwing out certain reasons why one or the other. So I thought, I did a bit of research and got some evidence, but we'll get to that in a second. First up, lower grades. So our New South Wales Cup. Oh, my slide. Come on. Nothing. My computer's just decided to... there we go. It's as slow as our line speed. New South Wales Cup got smacked 56-6 against the Panthers. But our Jersey Flag boys, they got a 24-12 win. And, of course, our girls are premiers. And I've got the tables for you this week, soon as the season's coming towards the end. So New South Wales Cup, the Maggies are down in 11th there. Four wins, 1 draw, and 14 losses. So their season... what are they? How many points out of the 8 are they? 9 points out of the 8, and terrible for and against. So their season's
to go.
So they're mathematically gone. But our Flag boys, they're the pride of the club at the moment. So they're in 3rd after that win, 4 points off 2nd. But there's a bit of a logjam there. They're only 2 points ahead of 7th. So, but by looks of it, is it a top 8 for the Flag? Actually, didn't think to check that, but
I think
so. They're looking pretty good, the Flag boys. So fingers crossed we can have a bit of success. They were looking good last year too, before COVID shut down the season again. Okay, on to the home ground debate, and of course, the contract for CommBank Stadium is up at the end of this year, so we're trying to work out. Well, the club's trying to work out how many grounds, who to allocate the home games to. So before I get into the numbers side of things and stats between the 2 grounds, Rob, you went up trying to put the team performance aside from the weekend. How do you find Campbelltown Stadium, like in terms of your whole day experience? How did you find it?
I love it. I've got no problem with it. I don't mind the drive down to Campbelltown. I don't mind. I generally park, a reasonable distance away from the ground and have a bit of a walk there. If I get there early, I'll go to the club. If I get there late, I'll go to the club after the game. I've got no problems with it. It's a good venue. There's no issue there. But and I thought the crowd was pretty reasonable. Like 9,600 odd people was a reasonable crowd. But
Mm.
I know you don't want to harp on the game, but when you produce, like, really, there's only one word to describe yesterday. It was unacceptable. Okay, that's how I look at it. It was just an unacceptable. It's not an NRL performance. Okay, and if you produce those sort of performances, how are the crowds going to build up there? Why would you want to go back to Campbelltown again? It's nothing to do with Campbelltown. If the players have a problem with playing at Campbelltown and can get up for games in Queensland or get up in games at Leichhardt and they can't at Campbelltown, that's the players' fault. It's not Campbelltown's fault. It's a coach's fault. It's a player's fault. I don't think there's an issue with it. When we talk about where should our future home games be, Josh, I've always said I want more games at Campbelltown than Leichhardt in terms of a redeveloped stadium, just so we can build a fortress. But until that stadium's done, I mean, if they've got to split it evenly, I don't care. But the reality is, even if Leichhardt is more parochial or whatever you want to call it, our future isn't in the inner west. I mean, totally. Obviously, we've got some juniors there. The big area is the MacArthur area. So we've just got to be better at it. And that really hurt yesterday. So I promise you, Josh, it's not the losing. It's we always talk about playing for 80 minutes and having a go. There was just sweet FA intensity for about 65 minutes. It was just garbage, absolute garbage. Thankfully, Kamali said so rather politely post game. But it's, you want to try and build a little bit of momentum. And for me, I just wanted to fall head over heels in love with the team and the club and where we're going. And it was just like a bad fifth date, and I'm dumping you. Like, I just, the whole day sucked. I just drove home depressed. Then obviously the news we've heard today about the 2 points, and then, it's just been a rubbish 28, 29 hours. It's just really depressing, man.
As obviously, I think I've asked you this before. The grounds are pretty coming from Orange. I mean, it's a long drive either way. So Campbelltown to Leichhardt is still a trek. But the neutral, you have no affiliation to either merge club. But how would you describe the game day experiences for both? I'll give both grounds. I skipped Leichhardt for you, Rob, because I think obviously. Being Balmain background, we might have a little bit of bias. But as a neutral, how do you find our two suburban grounds?
I tend to find the atmosphere, in particular at Leichhardt, to be considerably better. The crowd's a lot more into the game. I could make the comparison of the Bulldogs or Eels games to that one yesterday. The crowd was fairly quiet yesterday, fairly subdued. It didn't feel too much like a home game because we heard the Knights fans a lot more than heard the Tigers fans. The game day experience at both could probably be a little bit better, I guess, from an actual I don't know. I don't know exactly how I want to word it, but if we could get some bigger crowds, that would probably be a contributing factor. I tend to find, I feel like maybe Campbelltown gets a little bit shafted in who we play there, since we get a lot of the out-of-state teams come there.
I have a slide coming up for that, so we'll answer all these. I saw a lot of people throwing around this sort of stuff, so I thought I'll do the research, the Googling for everyone today, and so first up, a lot of people say we don't win at Campbelltown. Well, we don't really win at Leichhardt either. So our record, I went since 2013, so 10 seasons. I thought that's a reasonable, because if you go all the way back to like 2000, then you start it's a long time ago. We're talking about recent era. So 12-20, 12 wins out of 32 at Campbelltown, and then 16-19. So we're not even at 50% for Leichhardt either. Does that feel about right for you, Rob, especially for Leichhardt?
It felt for a period that we would never win big games at Leichhardt. So I'm actually surprised by that stat that we're almost 50%. And look, to be fair to Campbelltown, we should have beaten the Warriors, the what do you call them, the Titans, and we should have beaten the Knights yesterday. That record
Yep.
should be 15 and 17, not 12 and 20. So I don't put it down to the grounds. Look, Leichhardt for me is just more about my childhood, my history, and going to the games with mum and dad and having my season tickets. But I promise you, there's not much difference in terms of how much I enjoy Leichhardt and Campbelltown. I don't. Campbelltown's. I've been to Campbelltown where we've had some great games and the crowd's been really revved up. But yesterday, as Aaron said, they were so sedate. It was just really disappointing. They could have watched the game from a library, some of them. And maybe some people just don't like yelling and screaming. That's fine, but it's just real. It's a lot rowdier at Leichhardt. I just feel like you hear more people there. But we need to be winning these games so that 9,600 odd people turns into 12,000 next time or 13,000. We've got to, anyone that decided to go yesterday for the first time in ages won't be going again for a long time. I mean, obviously it's our last game for the year, but we've got to give our supporter base something to look forward to, and that was just unacceptable.
A couple of comments. If anyone wants to come on and debate this with us, like whatever your opinion, send us a DM and I'll give you the link to join the show. So, but yeah, keep the comments coming. Mitch on Facebook, the team is winning, the crowds will grow no matter which stadium we play out of. I totally agree. The winning will bring back the crowds. That's literally the number one thing. Personally, I think our future is Campbelltown, but I think we should have 3 games to honour Leichhardt. We've been pretty much on that boat as well. Like Rob more so. I was 11 when we merged, so like most of my life has been West Tigers, but both having Balmain heritage. We love Leichhardt, as you said, on a family level, but we think so too. We think the South, you got to just adopt the Southwest and take advantage of a booming. But all these numbers and stuff, I'm just trying to put the arguments beyond that to rest here. This obviously, as Rob said, like there's nothing to do with the grounds of why these have happened. It's just these things just pop up. I'm kind of myth busting, I guess, here. And regular Dom, he's on the other. Obviously, he's a big Leichhardt guy. Are you on West Magpies payroll? Firstly, yes, it's literally written on the show, mate. We're sponsored by West, but it's nothing.
That doesn't affect what I say, Dom.
Yeah,
I think
it's not like
proven.
Yeah, we're not Alan Jonesing it here. Like we're sponsored by West Ashfield. They're not. It's just different to West Campbelltown. It's not even. They're completely different clubs. So we're on West Ashfield's payroll technically, but not West Magpies. Look, yeah, Leichhardt gives me that more like heartfelt. Like literally, I had my wedding photos there. Like it's my happy place, my favorite place in the world, because like Rob said, it's the family link to it. But yeah, and I have to wonder with Leichhardt too. A lot of people, I often wonder that specialness that Leichhardt has to it. If we played more games there, would people prioritize it more? Some part of me thinks that having 3 games at Leichhardt, people circle that in the calendar and make sure to go to it. But if we went back, if we played 6 games there, I feel like that'd dilute itself. Does that make sense, Rob?
Yeah, look, I mean, without going into too much history, there was a time when obviously Balmain were a very strong team in the 80s. And sure, we had crowds at some days of 17,000, 18,000, but most of the time the average crowd was 10,000, like 9,000 to 10,000. And that was with the Tigers being in the finals pretty regularly in the late 80s. So I love Leichhardt, don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying, I think the Campbelltown experience is fine. I'm not paid by anyone to say anything. If I don't like Campbelltown, if I don't like what Justin and Lee are doing, if I don't like anything, I'm the last person that's going to sugarcoat it, guys. So I'm just saying, I don't mind the experience. I've been to Campbelltown when, the game after Robbie Farah was told he wasn't wanted at the club and we thrashed the Warriors, and I've never seen a more parochial crowd. I was there when we played the Cowboys. I think Benji was there that day and Jimmy Tamo was playing for the Cowboys, and we destroyed them on a Sunday afternoon, and the crowd was going nuts. We had Lottie Takiri there. I'm going back, well over 10 years ago. But the point is, there's been some good games there, and I've got some great memories from Campbelltown. Sure, is Leichhardt great? Yeah, I love Leichhardt. But for me, with Leichhardt, I've got to park on the other side of City Westlink, because if I park close to the ground, I get home quicker from Campbelltown to Strathfield than from Leichhardt to Strathfield, because it'll take me an hour to get out of the car park. So I've got to pre-plan where I park at Leichhardt anyway. Not that I give a rat's. Like, I'll park on the other side of City Westlink, or like when I went with you, Josh, we parked at basically Callan Park and walked for 15 minutes to the ground. Like, you do what you got to do, but it's just more sentimental Leichhardt to me. That's all. But I don't mind both experiences. But, I won't go to the bathroom at Leichhardt. I'll tell you now. I will not go to the bathroom at Leichhardt under any circumstances. So it's not exactly the greatest ground to watch a game from.
Courtney on Facebook, or more famously known as Lockie's mum, she says fans decreasingly live in the local area, decreasingly live in the local area of their team, so I don't get the travel argument. You have to travel to get to all grounds. Yeah, I get, and like Rob said, I mean, Campbelltown is very easy to get to. I mean, I live near the M4. I have, I think I have 2 traffic lights between me and Campbelltown Sports, even though it's a 40-minute drive or something. So, yeah, being just off the highway, it's very easy to get to. But hearing from a few people today made a good argument. If you live on the northern side of Sydney, it makes it longer. I mean, it's all down to how you prioritize. Do you prioritize, obviously, Courtney, Lockie, other people, pretty much anyone, I reckon almost everyone in this chat, the 3 of us, we will go to any ground on, like, rain, hail, and shine. We're always there. I think that it's pretty proven that there's 7,000-8,000 of us that are in that boat. We'll go anywhere. None of this argument matters. We're the what's it called in the election? What's the opposite of a swing voter in the election? Like, we're
blue chip seat or something.
Yeah, that'll do. Like, we're locked in. We're gonna go, whether it's all at Campbelltown, all at Leichhardt, all at ANZ, all at like, we go no matter what. We're season ticket holders. We're gonna go. It's those swinging voters that I guess, yeah, that sway the other way. And people, for whatever reason, yeah, you got to reduce the amount of excuses. But as I said earlier, I think the biggest excuse, and as Rob said, is the team's just not worth watching at the moment. And and the rebuttal to that is support your team. And again, there's about 7,000 or 8,000 of us that we're just year after year after year just keep turning up, keep turning up. But there's the others that they don't want to turn up, knowing that it's unlikely that the team's going to put in a good performance. So I get it. I get it. Like, everyone's got there's 1,000 different stories out there to why someone doesn't go to the footy. So Carla had a good comment too. I would attend. Yeah, it kind of fits what I'm saying here. Carla said I would attend Leichhardt if it was 6, 12, 3, whatever. Yeah. Again, I think there's several thousand of us that would. There's just that next tier. Like, my dad, for example, he might go to a couple games a year, but at the moment, he won't come down from the Central Coast to watch him, because he's like, I don't want that stress. Like, I can't, like, it's not worth the stress of watching the team at the moment. So there's plenty of excuses. So the slide on the screen at the moment is the averages. So when I calculated these averages, I took out, you can see there's a couple of zeros. So the numbers on the screen, it looks like lotto numbers. That's how many thousands of people in the previous games were there. I don't know if you can see the screen or not, Rob.
Yeah,
so I won't read them out. But the average. So when I calculated the average, I took out the COVID restriction games. So if there was a crowd restriction, I didn't count it. So Leichhardt 12,141, Campbelltown 10.5, so 10,537. So look, it's only 1,600 difference there. Not huge. It's close enough that there's other variables at play. Really, does that surprise you, as that it's closer between the two?
Yeah, it kind of does, because a we've had some games at Leichhardt where there's been a vastly bigger crowd. The 2016 and 2019 final round games spring to mind when we were playing for a potential finals berth in both of those. So yeah, it kind of does surprise me that it's actually so close, I guess. And I've also been to a few games at Campbelltown where there's been 6,000-7,000. I think there was one year it was against the Titans, 2018 or 17, I think it was. There was barely anyone there. The stadium just felt empty. It didn't feel like there was a crowd at all, and that was like obviously before COVID restrictions. I just wanted to bring up something that I noticed about the previous slide as well, Josh.
Yeah.
Basically, did you include all of the extra games we played at Campbelltown in the COVID lockdown back in 2020?
No, he didn't.
In counting the numbers of games.
No.
In which calculation? Sorry. In the wins
games at
the wins,
wins and losses.
Yes, yeah. They were the wins and losses. I think it was calculated in it. Yeah.
Well, that's interesting because there was less games at Campbelltown than there were at Leichhardt, considering during 2020 we played.
Maybe I did pull them out
at Leichhardt.
I can't remember now. I'm trying to think. No, I don't think I pulled them out. I think I counted them.
Okay, yeah. Because I was curious because I think I counted 32 Campbelltown, 35 Leichhardt. So yeah, I thought that was interesting. Was there a time where we played more at Leichhardt than we did at Campbelltown, or has it always been sort of the 3-3 or a 4-4 at the two grounds?
During lockdown, I think we played extra at Leichhardt, and I think we squeezed. Before 2020's lockdown, we had a game at Leichhardt that was crowdless before they rejigged the whole schedule. Yeah. And then obviously moving to Queensland last year, it might have taken what if games were left. So we might have had uneven amount of Campbelltown and Leichhardt left. Fucking COVID, man. There's someone who's got it right now. It's apart from ruining my lungs at the moment, it ruined footy for the last couple of years. But with those numbers too, Leichhardt, you'll notice if you go back towards the start, there's a few fives, as in 5,000s for Leichhardt. If anyone remembers, there was a run for a few years there where it absolutely would piss down every time we play at Leichhardt. So Leichhardt's numbers would go down a little bit more. Like it was a running joke that every time we play at Leichhardt, it would pour down. So there's a few really low ones in there, and it's those games that I think scared the club off because as soon as the crowds are low at Leichhardt, they've paid for all the amenities and stuff to use it. That they make a loss on it, so that's why they pulled back on Leichhardt games because as soon as it rains, no one goes, and it doesn't. But likewise, Campbelltown, as I'll get into later, they also get affected by being pretty like cold weather and scheduling as well. So they get, but we'll get to that in a second. Anything else on crowd numbers, guys, before I move on?
I was just going to say, previously, probably a month ago or so, Josh, you showed figures of when we were travelling well in 2010 and 2011 and how big our crowds were at Campbelltown. And I'm sure it was the same at Leichhardt. And if you go back to 2005, our crowds were big everywhere. So as someone wrote in there in the comments, when they're winning, the fans will go everywhere. In the case of Courtney and Lockie, she takes Lockie to every game everywhere. New Zealand, North Queensland, they're amazing fans, especially for a St George supporter mum. So, they're going to go everywhere regardless, whether we're travelling good or travelling bad. But I just think it's about the growth area. That's all it is. It's got nothing to do with what's better to watch. There's nothing wrong with the scheduling yesterday, guys. We had a sunny day. It was a 4:00 game. I mean, it wasn't too cold for a winter day. It was pretty good, actually. So
you couldn't ask for more,
Yeah, you couldn't ask for more. So I guess with those numbers, you've got to see
win.
you know, like we had one game this year that was Friday night at 6 p.m., which was a joke. Like, how are people going to finish work at 5 o'clock and get to a game at 6 o'clock at Campbelltown? So
that was the
there are mitigating circumstances all the time, but I just think it doesn't. If let's say hypothetically, those figures said we get 15,000 at Leichhardt and 5 at Campbelltown, it doesn't matter. We're going to have to redevelop a ground out there. Maybe have a ground that makes the fans a bit closer to the action, because I feel like at Campbelltown, it feels a little bit distant sometimes from the grandstand as opposed to Leichhardt. I just think we've got to be more on top of the field in terms of how it's set up, and just make it a fortress. But you know, we can't, like someone said, we can't let the Souths and all these other teams. They've already infiltrated the MacArthur area, so we've just got to decide what our long-term future is. Yeah, if you're talking short-term, you'll get more people at Leichhardt next weekend than you would at Campbelltown. That's probably a fact. But you know, you got to look at the long term, guys. We want to be here for the long term.
Carla, another good comment. Fans have work commitments, family commitments, financial restrictions. No one is they can't in every game. I certainly couldn't go to 20.
Josh, we're getting every second word again, mate.
My internet just dropped out.
Fun and games tonight. We are going as
Can you hear me?
as everything that's happened the last day and a half. Seriously. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, heard that.
Can you hear me? Yeah,
got you now.
My internet connection for some reasons.
Oh, we've lost you again, mate.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. It's just coming. It's just intermittent, mate. It's coming in and out.
Not sure what's going on. Yeah, the my internet is coming in all good now.
Yeah, all good.
Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you.
But yeah, Carla, no one is less of a fan because they can't attend a game. I couldn't afford to go to 25 a year, and we're not saying that. Like, we have probably like I reckon 150 to 200,000 fans out there. So, but yeah, you wouldn't expect. Like I said, I reckon there's probably. I'd like to know the membership. This is what annoys me with membership numbers too. I'd like to know what team has the most season ticket holders, or just ticketed members. It'd be rather than just the clubs being able to fudge the numbers with pet memberships and all sorts of bullshit stuff. Promotions like the Eels making us get a membership to go to the Easter game and stuff like that. It'd be cool to know what team has the most season ticket holders. But yeah, some people don't attend games, and the thing about rugby league too, I always argue this, to go on a little bit of a tangent. My argument always to AFL fans is, firstly, Sydney's very, very hard to get around compared to Melbourne. Sydney's a nightmare. We spend all week in traffic. A lot of us don't want to spend our weekend in traffic either. Melbourne, if you ever go to a sporting event in Melbourne, they just do it so much better than we do. But in terms of the TV game, rugby league is just the perfect TV game. And it sounds biased, but the entire game is right in front of you. There's not really, you can add, it actually makes the viewing experience worse by going to a rugby league game. You go there for the atmosphere and that's it. Whereas something like AFL, where the game is literally spread out across a whole cricket field, you go to them and you're like, oh, you can see stuff that happens off camera. It's like seeing behind the scenes of a movie, off the screen. Whereas rugby league, it's the whole game is right in front of you. You see a little bit, here and there, maybe of the fullbacks yelling or something, but not like AFL. But AFL built a great culture around it, but TV rating wise, AFL and NRL are about the same. So rugby league's just a great TV product. So got to do a bit extra to convince people to spend money, time, to go to a game. So I don't begrudge anyone that doesn't go to a game. Whereas me, I'm yelling and screaming and swearing at the game. I don't want my wife to say they can't tell me, just sitting there telling me they can't hear you. I prefer to be at the game where they can actually hear me. Yeah, I enjoy that. Righto. So to go back about 8 minutes ago, when Rob, you mentioned days of the week before. So I've rounded up the numbers of what day of the week those games were on. Now, the only issue here is obviously Friday 6 p.m. and Friday 7:45 are two different beasts, but the page I got the stats from didn't have the time of the game, so I couldn't split them here. So from memory, I think Friday 6 p.m., the one this year at Campbelltown might be the only one, and we had one at Leichhardt, one at Campbelltown. I can't remember there ever been another 6 p.m. Friday apart from this year, the two grounds getting one each this year.
Yeah, we played Canterbury at Leichhardt this year.
Yeah.
And the other one was I think it was the Titans, wasn't it? Was it Titans at 6 o'clock, or was it the Warriors? It was one of them.
Warriors. Yeah, we played Warriors at Campbelltown. I missed that. I was away for a wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah, Leichhardt obviously had people were comparing the two of those time slots, saying Leichhardt got more. Firstly, it was against Canterbury, and secondly, getting out to Campbelltown by 6 o'clock. If you knock off at 5, and you work somewhere close to the city, which the majority Sydney, I wouldn't say the majority, a lot of Sydney does, then it makes it a lot harder, right? Whereas more people living around Leichhardt Oval find it a lot easier. But it was actually a pretty good crowd for Leichhardt. I couldn't believe when we played the Bulldogs how good that crowd, because I think it was raining too that night, Rob, wasn't it?
It started raining and then it stopped when the game started. Yeah.
Glad we got a win.
The hill was mud.
But either way, if you look at the Sunday numbers, Leichhardt's had 16 and Campbelltown's only had 10. Campbelltown's had more Saturday nights than, yeah. So that's a little bit of an excuse there for Campbelltown, would you say, as Leichhardt seems to get favoured a little bit. And obviously, as I've said on the show before, Channel 9 decides this. It's not the West Tigers, so we can't help it. But yeah, do you feel like Campbelltown gets regular? I mean, we can't all have Sunday afternoons, but Leichhardt's had a lot more.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like Channel 9, in particular, they give us a lot of our games against our bigger rivals on the Sunday afternoon games, because it's a really good family friendly time slot, and I think that's why they like our suburban grounds plus Lotto Land, Penrith, and a few of those other ones being that Sunday afternoon time slot. But yeah, for sure, I feel like because they're on all of the days except for Thursday and Monday, there were multiple different time slots for games. So obviously the hard ones for fans to get out to are the Thursday kickoffs, the Friday 6 o'clock kickoffs, and maybe to an extent the Saturday 3 o'clock kickoffs. If parents are working during the day, or
kids
something
sport
like that
as well.
Yeah, kids sport may be a factor there, especially if they're playing like inner Sydney. To then get out to Campbelltown for a 3 o'clock kickoff would probably be a little bit too tricky. But yeah, I feel like if there is an excuse for Campbelltown, it probably is the scheduling. If they're getting more of the Friday, well, not more of the Friday, more of the Saturday, less of the Sunday games, then yeah, it makes sense that the crowds there are probably going to be a little bit lower. I think we've also had a few more 6 o'clock Friday ones. The one I mentioned before, the Titans game, I can't remember, but I feel like that one might have been a 6 o'clock on a Friday kickoff as well. But yeah, definitely, we don't get them too often, which is good. Most of our 6 o'clock games, 6 o'clock Friday games, we end up traveling for. Like we've had the Knights up at Newcastle and at that time slot a few times. I think we get the Warriors away at that time slot every now and then. But yeah, I've gone on a little bit of a tangent there, but anyway.
That's what this show does. Dom's yet again saying in regards to Campbelltown, my God, my computer's slow tonight. But wouldn't all the rugby league crazy fans from Campbelltown and surrounding areas have less travel to Campbelltown? After all, that's the future, right? So he's a little bit passive aggressive. A comment there. He's basically saying that the 6 p.m. Friday night game at Campbelltown should have been convenient for people that live in Campbelltown. Well, a lot of people that live in Campbelltown, firstly, work in the city, or like very few people live in Campbelltown area, and like that's why the traffic's so bad on the M5, because there's a million people trying to get east in the morning, and then a million people trying to get home west in the afternoon. So firstly, there's that. People basically are not working in the area. But we're not saying that it makes sense now. It's the future. Like you said it in your comment, it's the future. Like the population's getting bigger out there. The airport's going to open up out there. Hopefully the economy will move out there, so more people will be working out there. And it's a slog as well. The club's got to get into schools and just build new fans. I mean, someone made a good point today with the Campbelltown thing. I'll give them this, is that a lot of people that move out to Campbelltown or the MacArthur area usually come from elsewhere in Sydney and already have a team picked. Like, for example, my cousin moved out. I know a Souths fan out there, a Roosters fan, so they've moved from inner Sydney out there. So they've already got teams. But the kids in schools, I mean, they've got to get into the schools, give every kid a West Tigers footy and try and convince them to turn away. I mean, there'd be plenty of people moving out there too who maybe have never thought about rugby league as well. So they've got to build the fans out there. We're not saying that the fans are out there now, Dom. Like, we're saying build it. It's in the Bible. Is it Noah's Ark? Build it and they'll come. From I've got my Bible stories right. So it's about building it out there, and we're not saying it's there now. If that makes sense. Anything on that scheduling, Rob, that surprises you?
No, not so much on the scheduling, but just in general, Josh. You can't expect the MacArthur area to embrace a team that has 3 games a year there.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's the last few years it's had 3 or 4 games or whatever. So this argument about who shows up where and why aren't they embracing it, mate, it's not their team. They don't feel like it's their team. And as an ex-Balmain supporter, the only thing I've got going in terms of Balmain with the West Tigers are the orange, and I share the black. Of course, the club's broke. It doesn't exist anymore. It's got 1 or 2 board members there that have got a token position. Balmain basically doesn't exist. I love the team because of the colours. I love the team because of what it means to me, what it represents in my history. So, and in terms of crowds going to games, guys, the NRL don't give a shit. The NRL is all about TV rights. So, for example, yesterday I said to my cousin, I wasn't aware when the New South Wales Cup had played. I said, is there a New South Wales Cup game before? They said, no, they played yesterday. So I didn't bother going early. Like, I would have got there at 2 o'clock to watch, what would be normally our reserve grade before a first grade game. And I know that's been done now, of course, of COVID and all this sort of stuff. But generally, like, if we can go back to a stage where you can have 2 or 3 games in one day and make it worthwhile going out to a game, then I'd probably go out to the game, because there's nothing worse like, talking about, Tom Freeban or whatever. And, hey, Rob, have you heard of Tom Freeban? I've never heard of the bloke. Like, I've never gone to a New South Wales Cup game. But if I go to a West Tigers first grade game, I should be able to see the New South Wales Cup game, the game before, every second week. You know what I mean? So you don't even get to learn about who's in your lower grades and stuff like that. The whole system's just been flawed. It's not designed for us to go to games and get value for, getting there at 12 o'clock and leaving there at 5 o'clock and say, wow, I watched 3 games today, whatever they may be. So I just think until we get the majority of games at Campbelltown, that whole region will not embrace it as their team.
Yeah.
Because, you even hear some commentators stupidly call our team Balmain still. And how stupid is that? They accidentally say Balmain before they recover and say West Tigers. You know,
The
so
NRL boss did it in his press conference the other day.
well, that's what I mean. So
Yeah.
just you know, how do you expect the people of Campbelltown? Like, how are you going to get excited about 3 games a year? And look, we're lucky that we've had the Campbelltown games already this year, and even the Leichhardt games. Sometimes we get our home games in the back half of the year, so you haven't even had a chance to get invested in the season. By the time you get your home games, the season is done. I know that was a case at Leichhardt in one particular year where we didn't get a game till later in the year, and I thought, well, gee, you know, we're basically out of the running for the finals already before we even got to see a Leichhardt home game. So yeah, look, I just think it's all about TV rights, mate, and it's going to have to be a redeveloped stadium. We can't make Campbelltown our home ground as it is now. It's got to be redesigned or have a new stadium there, or Liverpool or wherever. It just can't be the way it is.
Yeah. A few guys. Dom, I didn't mean to say. I didn't say. I said passive aggressive. I was only half joking, mate. Like everyone's entitled to their opinion. So in the comments, guys, go easy on each other. I've seen a bit of we wanted good discussions. Let's not become Parramatta fans and eat our own heads here. Benjamin has a pretty good question here from Queensland and probably ignorant. Well, you're a Queenslander, so probably. What is the average travel time? Only joking. What is the average travel time for the majority of fans to get to either ground? For us going to Suncorp, the Queensland government provides free transport as an incentive. We get free transport to the major stadiums with our ticket on major games, like when they play at Homebush and that sort of thing. But no, we're going to pay for our own transport. For those who aren't from Sydney, I guess the best way to describe it, I guess, if Sydney is a rectangle, imagine a rectangle that's sitting horizontal. Campbelltown Stadium is in the bottom left of that rectangle, and Leichhardt is basically in the middle of the rectangle towards the right of it. And then you got highways running, 3 highways parallel across that rectangle, if that makes sense. So Campbelltown is basically most of Sydney can follow those 3 highways out to Campbelltown, if that makes sense. The only issue is it costs you about $40 in tolls. So Campbelltown is actually pretty easy to get to. It's a nice, easy drive for pretty much all of Sydney, but it's a long distance and a lot of tolls. Leichhardt, on the other hand, it's closer in. As someone said in the comments, there's more people that live close to Leichhardt, but the traffic's a nightmare. Like getting to Leichhardt, it's on water, so there's only one. It's on what's the river called? Canada Bay. Is it Canada Bay? Leichhardt?
Parramatta River.
Is it Parramatta? Yeah, Parramatta River. So basically, like Leichhardt Oval is kind of shoved on a river. Like it's pretty hard. So you got Victoria Road. Inner west of Sydney is a nightmare. Like for driving. So the traffic getting to Leichhardt is actually, yeah, as Rob said, a bit of a nightmare. Does that answer your question? I'm not sure, but yeah.
Well, Campbelltown is like it's literally right on a train station if you want to catch a train there.
Yeah, I meant to mention the train. Yeah, so our trains suck as well though. I caught the train home. So I go to Lidcombe, and I caught the train home one night after. Actually, I think I went to the club after a Saturday night game at Campbelltown. And I think I left the club at like 10, and I didn't get home till 1 o'clock in the morning in Homebush. By the time I had to change trains, because trains don't run as much at night, you have to change. Where is it? I had to basically change 3 times and then walk from Lidcombe to Homebush. Like it's not good, but for some people it is. The station is right next to the ground, so if you can figure out the scheduling, the train is pretty easy for a lot of parts of Sydney. For whatever reason, Homebush wasn't for me that night, but yeah, hope that answers anyone that not from Sydney. Righto, I'll move along a slide. I'm trying to keep up all the comments, guys, but keep them coming. Right, our opponent. So as you mentioned this earlier, you can see the screen there. Is there anything? I'm obviously not going to rattle off every single number because that'll bore the shit out of people. But is there any of those numbers shock you? So a lot of people say that we play a lot of out of towners at Campbelltown. Does that look about right to you? Oh,
We lost him.
yeah.
No, I was still muted. I was adjusting my my headset, so I muted myself while
we're
I
in
did
great form tonight.
that. Yeah, so nothing about that shocks me in particular. Campbelltown especially. But yeah, I'm not surprised to see the number of Broncos, Titans, 3 each and 4 against the Warriors there. They love giving us the Cowboys at Leichhardt, which is surprising seeing as that draws pretty decent crowds most of the time. But then again, we do get a lot of that at either 7:55 on a Friday or the 4 o'clock Sunday game, which are, I'd have to say, probably 2 of the biggest draw card time slots for Leichhardt. But yeah, when you compare, for example, Broncos 3 at Campbelltown to 1 at Leichhardt, it's not really a surprise that a lot of the teams we play at Campbelltown aren't the Sydney teams. If you look at, I'm just going to quickly add up all those numbers for the Sydney teams at Campbelltown. You've got 2, 5, 6, 7, 8.
I should have done that.
11 Sydney-based opponents at Campbelltown, and none of those are the Rabbits. So that kind of, I feel like that's kind of indicative because we, other than say the Eels and the Dogs who we've and the Rabbits who we've predominantly played at the bigger stadiums like the CommBanks or the ANZs. Yeah, we don't get a lot of those big or good rivalries out at Campbelltown, but we do seem to get more of them at Leichhardt.
Rob, you're on the mobile, but can you see those numbers at all? Can you make them out?
I can see the numbers. I can't really make out the teams, to be honest, Josh. But there are a couple of really good comments there as well about, if we stay in the inner city, we're not going to last a decade. And then there was another comment there about, Campbelltown not being our natural home. It was Lidcombe in terms of West Magpies. Well, if you want to go before that, it's Pratton Park, Ashfield. So like, where does it stop? And it was Arana Park, and it was, I don't know, man. I just think having so many home grounds over the years is what's contributed to all this mess. And luckily the club recognises now that we've got to, consolidate in hopefully both these places, Campbelltown and Leichhardt. And it's just about getting the breakup right.
And to go on with Michelle's comment there too, this is nothing to do with the Magpies. This is nothing to do with being a win for Balmain or West. This is about the Campbelltown area being a booming part of Sydney, and it's unclaimed at the moment. It should be ours, and we should be claiming it. So, don't think of this as we're embracing the Magpies or
not at all.
Balmain. This is about, with all respect to all the older fans, like in 20 years' time, like a lot of Balmain and West fans won't be around anymore. Like I'll be the dinosaur by then, saying, I remember Paul Sirenen when he retired in 1998. Like we're moving on to the future. It's West Tigers, and it's the area we've got to adopt. So it's nothing to do with the Magpies at all. We're West Tigers. This argument should have nothing to do, and it has nothing to do with the previous clubs. Right. So what else have I got? Anything else, boys? I'll promote that in a second. Anything else in terms of suburban grounds that I've missed?
Not that I can think of, mate.
Looking at the comments, they're all they're long comments tonight. People are very passionate about this, and oh no, we've got a porn bot. Hang on. Let me get rid of it. Get out of here.
pretty
Oh,
much the
well,
only thing that we haven't really discussed tonight is the thing that we've discussed on other occasions is what we think the ratio should be. But yeah, I think we've gone through that
yeah,
a few times, so I think
yeah.
that pretty much has everything else covered.
See, the thing that
Yeah.
will happen too, guys, is if somehow we do get government funding to, say, redevelop Campbelltown, guess where all our games are going to be for a season or two? They're all going to be a Leichhardt. So, like, it's just all going to balance out in the end. And then, we can kind of, get most of the games there and have a few token games at Leichhardt. I don't know. I just think we go on about it too much. It's just about the growth area. It's got nothing to do with which ground you prefer, which ground anything. We've just got to suck it up and go to the area that's going to give us a better chance of success in the future. And that's where all the kids are coming from. We've had a lot of stars come from that area, and there's going to be more stars coming from that area than there are in a little Victoria Road belt in a city belt. It's just as simple as that, guys.
The one thing I asked it in the Discord yesterday, I think it was, or whatever day the news broke about the stand at Leichhardt collapsing. Do you think that's gonna cause the club to hit the metaphorical panic button and say, oh, maybe we do need to extend our deal with ANZ or CommBank or whoever for another 3 years or so? Do you think that's an issue we could be facing with the suburban grounds the way they are currently, or do we hope that?
Personally, I don't think so.
No,
I don't think so. That's only a very small section of the ground, basically behind the northern end goalposts. I think that's a pretty easy fix, or it could be roped off, or whatever the case may be. I don't think you can't see that happening too often. So thank God no one was hurt, really. But seriously hurt, I should say. So I'm actually watching that footage. It's just incredible that no one died over it. Like that really was terrible to watch.
Yeah. Rachel on Facebook said apparently they've reconfigured general admission for Leichhardt and Campbelltown. Could that reduce crowds? I did hear this today. Someone did say that general admission normally at Campbelltown on the big grandstand, usually it's only reserved seating the middle three or four sections are reserved, and then the outer sides are general admission. And I always, before I had a premium membership, would sit general admission in those sections. Apparently, the West Tigers, firstly, advertised on their membership for the grounds for general admission, had the map stating this. And then on the weekend, apparently they had security guards across all the seating. So basically, general admission could only sit on the grass at either end. They had to go behind the goalpost. Did you guys hear this?
I'm not aware of that, no.
Yeah.
No, I'm not aware of that.
If you look on the TV, it's not like they were sold out. Like, it's very weird that they would have done that, especially if it was a sellout. You can kind of maybe expect that, but it was only less than 10,000 people there, and they still, like, the amount of security they were at the hire for each section when they normally rope it off. They put like police tape between the sections, but apparently they pushed every general admission person behind the goalpost. So pretty disgusting, especially for members who, like I said, they at the start of the year bought their membership thinking that they could sit there, and they normally did sit there. So I know Courtney was saying it today that her and Lockie normally sit on those seats, but were had to move to behind the goalpost. Dom asked about the new Allianz Stadium. So we obviously played there, boys, 2009, 10, 11, 12 from memory.
Yep.
It was our good years that we played at the old SFS. What are your thoughts on that? Rob, yeah, you go.
No, you go.
No, I was gonna. Yeah, you go.
I was just gonna say, mate. It's got to be Campbelltown and Leichhardt. this whole thing bores me shitless. Like, it's just we shouldn't be going to Parramatta, Allianz, SCG, prostituting our home games. We've got to start making our home, not a house, our home. And just going to another stadium just takes all that away. It just doesn't do anything for us. We've got to make it uncomfortable for teams coming to our stadiums, and it's got to be a hostile crowd that, is seeking a win. And you just can't, like Lee said on his pod the other week, we had 9 home grounds in 1 year, not too long ago, 3 or 4 years ago. It's just rubbish. So we can't be selling out for the dollar, guys. We just got to have a home ground or two and stick to them. That's it.
And the club's promised to do that. So we've been told that. Yeah, I think the big stadiums, are going to be done with. But I mean, I'm excited to go there. I'm keen to see what it's like. But yeah, I don't want to play home games there. I mean, man, an excuse for people to not go to a game, to have to drive into the city. God, I hope they fix the parking. It is the worst to park. The light rail is good. I've used the light rail to go to Randwick Racecourse. That's really good now, going from Central Station. So that's pretty easy. But in terms of driving, you literally would take, if you weren't near the gates of the car park, it'd take an hour to get out. It was ridiculous parking on the cricket oval.
And also, who wants 10,000 people in a 40,000 seat stadium?
Yeah,
it just becomes empty again. These suburban grounds are actually good for the TV ratings. When you get a sort of pretty packed crowd like Manly and Para last Friday night, or Saturday
Cronulla
night.
as well.
Yeah, Cronulla as well. Like, even though they get bugger all crowds, you can hear the crowds. It actually makes it exciting to watch.
Yeah, I think.
Sorry, Josh, you finish.
I was just going to say, we're saying moving forward, but the suburban grounds, like, it just makes the football, the bit of nostalgia and the tribalism, like, it just feels better. Even going to an away game at someone else's suburban ground, it feels better than going to a big stadium. Like you said, Rob, 10,000 and 80,000 stadium. Like, you'd rather go to a small, drive to Cronulla, drive to, maybe not Manly, but drive to Cogra. I mean, Cogra is a little bit of a cricket field, a bit hard to see, but Wollongong is a great place to watch footy. I love going watch footy at Wollongong. Yeah, I love the suburban grounds. Sorry, Az?
So I didn't think about it before, but it's occurred to me now. You guys know me as the numbers guy. I'm a lot more numerically inclined. Yep. So I've just gone and pulled up the crowd figures for 3 games. I'm using Leichhardt as an example because, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think ever since the lockdowns ended after COVID, hill capacities have been reduced. And I wonder if that's a contributing factor as well to the declining.
What's scaring people away, or are you saying?
No, not necessarily scaring people away, but I think like reduced capacity because of the lesser crowds.
I haven't heard of them shutting the gates. I haven't heard Leichhardt having shut gates for a while.
So the 3 games I was looking at was the 2016 and 2019 final round games where we were fighting for our season. I'm pretty sure they told us we sold out for those.
Yeah.
We had just over 18,000 for the Raiders one.
Yep.
And we had 19,500 for the Sharks one in 2019. And then I went to pull up the Cowboys game from last year, I think it was, because I'm pretty sure they told us that we sold out for that one. And that crowd, if it wants to load again for me, was only 9,500.
Yeah,
maybe that's because I think last year they might have still had some pretty drastic.
Yeah, I think there was. It was 75.
Yeah?
It was 75% or 50% or something. Yeah, you're right. I think.
Right. So
it
did affect.
It's still a bit low though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the Tommy round.
Yeah, that was the Tommy one. The cows there.
Or the first
Okay.
time. Yeah.
Well, I think we've hit the nail on the head. Whether we've solved the argument, maybe not. But I mean, we had our minds kind of made up coming into it, but just kind of wanted to hit the nail on the head of arguments for both sides. In that, speaking of big stadiums, so I promoted this on Thursday. For those who weren't listening on Thursday, some of you might not know that as well as host of this show, I'm also a fitness trainer. I run outdoor fitness sessions, and I thought I'd start up something called Tiger Fit once the West Tigers season finishes up. So on podcast nights, Mondays and Thursdays, this podcast will run right up to the grand final. But yeah, all through summer, or spring and summer, I thought I could run some fitness sessions for Tigers fans. But if you want to bring along, your partner or fans of other teams, if you have to, but it's all about just gathering and with other people with similar interest. Yeah, if you want to improve your health, your fitness, and that sort of thing, and talk footy at the same time. So, as I said on Thursday, I'm going to try and convince Roberto to come to a couple of sessions, and I'll ease him into it. I won't make him do too many burpees and that sort of thing. But it's nothing too intense. Not there to train people to become elite athletes. It's a bit of fitness in the park with mates and talk a bit of footy at the same time. So if it's something you would be keen on, at Sydney Olympic Park, shoot us an email, podcast@westlife.com, or shoot us a DM on any of our socials, and I'll send you more info about it.
I might have to come up 1 week too then. During the off season.
Oh yeah, it's only around the corner from your dad's place, so yeah, come bring the training shorts and the joggers, and come lift some weights in the park. Okay, there was a rugby league game on Sunday, an hour and 8 into the show. We're finally talking about it. Righto, the backs. Firstly, I'll go through the stats leaders. So Jock Madden was leading runs, which I found this surprising. He had 21, leading meters 158 for Dane. Line breaks, literally just the one, and that was for Kepa. Line break assist, that's just the one for Jock. Try assists, one each for Adam and Jock. Touches, Jock touched it the most, 63. Kicking, Adam had the most kicks with 13 and 320 meters. Most tackles in the backs was Adam with 24. Missed tackles, 5 each for Jock and Kepa. And errors, Naden, who forgot where the sideline was and how to hold a football, had a couple. And then Kenny Mamalo, so our two wingers, 2 errors each. Rob, what backs stood out for you in this game, either good or bad?
The only back that stood out for me on a positive side was Dane Laurie. I thought his form continued, and he's probably the best player on our team, definitely. Look, the other guys, they just had some poor moments. I really don't want to pick on anyone, but yeah, just to stick with the positives, Dane Laurie, obviously he made that great tackle on Tex Hoy in the second half that probably would have had him scoring his second try. A little bit of confusion on one of the bombs late in the game when it really was Toa's ball to catch, but Toa decided to shield the ball and they let the ball bounce, and somehow we got out of that with a goal line dropout. But yeah, I just thought in general his effort was there. He tried really hard, caught every bomb on the full except the one that I mentioned, and yeah, made some great tackles. I thought he was a standout back by far.
As any other glimmer of hope in the back line from this game?
I was just chuckling as well at Carla's comment saying, "Can we not?" But anyway,
Was she referring to the exercise?
Can we not talk about the
Probably-
game? I mean,
yeah,
just,
Oh,
probably
not
the
talking about the
game.
game. Right. Can we just skip it?
Um,
Good night, everybody. No,
I think it missed tackles aside, I think Kepa Owa had one of his better games for the club since coming back from that injury this year. He had some positive touches, but yeah, the missed tackles weren't great, and you need your centres to be better defensively than that. I think there was an article that someone posted in the Discord, someone saying that the Tigers had found a centre in Kepa Owa, and I don't know if that article mentioned the whole missed tackles part, but yeah, it was one of his better games, but the missed tackles definitely hold him back there.
it was a great try.
he did some good
Yeah.
things in attack, guys, but
Mm.
Dane Laurie, he made Dane Laurie look like a Queenslander again. Dane Gagai. Dane Gagai had over 200 metres. Dane Gagai was untouchable.
Yeah.
Like, I know Kapoa beat him for his try, like he got around him and scored, but defensively he's still not there. And as you said, 4 missed tackles. Yeah, he did a lot of good things. Okay, there's some positive signs there, but it wasn't all great, guys. They're really. I could literally count on one hand how many good players we had. And some of the bad players weren't through lack of effort, but the majority of them, they played like scrubbers. They were absolute shit ordinary. And you wouldn't get 7 or 8 of those blokes in first grade next year with our club. They won't be in the team.
I think Jock really missed having the ball playing lock in Hastings. I'd say he was probably the player who was most disadvantaged by Jacko not being there. But it was very, very, very clear that we missed him a shitload.
Yeah, a lot of people coming out saying being pro Luke Brooks enjoyed this game. It's so annoying, this whole argument. Like when Luke Brooks plays shit, we blame him, and people want Jock, and then Jock doesn't play well, and everyone says, "Well, see, Luke Brooks isn't that bad." Like Rob, he didn't have a great game, but are people being a bit harsh on Jock in this one?
If you're judging him on yesterday's game, they're not being harsh. He had a poor game. Let's just call it what it is. But if I go back to his, 2 previous games where he started, he was in a winning team against Canterbury and he was a winning team against Brisbane. Did Hastings impact on Jock? Hastings not being there impact on Jock definitely, but Hastings not being there impacted on the whole team. The fact that we didn't have a ball playing lock from the start of the game, it hurt Adam Dwayhe as well. It hurt our attacking structure. We played a Knights team that I stand corrected, but I think they completed 25 out of 38 sets. They were shit ordinary in terms of their ball control. They played well when they held onto the ball, but they gave us so many opportunities and we were doing nothing with the ball. Eventually, is it Freeburn? I don't know how you pronounce his name. He started trying to play that ball playing role. Look, he tried hard. Like he had a lot of runs. I think he had 20 runs, 159 meters, 50 odd of those post contact. But for me, I know we're trying to get rid of him, but we bought Tyrone Peachey as a ball playing lock. We lost Jackson Hastings as a ball playing lock. We should have played Tyrone Peachey as a ball playing lock. And look, I know he's not everyone's favourite player, and he's gone to the sin bin a couple of times for us this year, and he might be a little bit lazy, but he's got more talent in his little finger than half those players in our team. And he even produced a mad offload in the right centre position on the previous tackle to Kapoa's try that had Newcastle's defence scattered. And I think that's why we had that space back on the left after he'd popped that ball. So for me, I would have played Peachey as a ball-playing lock. I don't know if they're going to start with Tom this week or not, but they should have started him if they were going to play him as a ball player, because our attack just had absolutely zero. I don't know what we freaking trained during the week. And even our rotation was terrible. There's just so many things I could pick apart with this thing. And it started with the selection table, guys. The team that we selected was totally wrong. And I'll get into more of it when you go onto the forwards, but the bench rotation was ridiculous. Austin Diaz didn't even get a run, for fuck's sake. Like, if you don't think he can contribute to the team, don't pick him in the fucking team. Like, it's just really frustrating as a supporter. You drive out to Campbelltown and you watch, one of our best forwards for the last 3 weeks has been Fanua Pole. he got 25 minutes at the start of the game and 13 minutes or something like that at the back end of the game. Like, whoever was doing the rotations should be 100 miles from that club. They should not be within cooey of that club. We lost it on the coaching side, on the selection side. We had no intensity. It was one of the poorest performances I've ever seen. And how we end up getting within 4 points is a miracle in itself, or it probably just shows how shit Newcastle are.
Mm. Yeah, the sequence before, I think we had 20 tackles in a row or something before half time on the line. Like, it's just insane.
It was headless hook stuff, mate. It was just like, here's a ball, try something. Try this, try that. I mean, even Dane Laurie put a grubber kick that got, blocked by someone's foot. Like, Dane Laurie never puts a grubber kick in. Like, there was no organisation. We lack composure. Jackson Hastings definitely gives you that composure. And he takes a bit of time off the halves, which I said last week, last Thursday night, might, be an issue. But if we'd have just had 80 minutes of enthusiasm, we would have won that game, as shit as we were. If we just had 80 minutes of ripping in and tearing like we done for the previous month, even as bad as we were, we would have won that game. But there was just the lack of effort in the first half was just disgraceful. It really was.
Right, forward stat leaders. So Freebarn, as you mentioned, Rob, he had the most runs. He had 20 runs in, I think he played 56 minutes or something. So he definitely tried his guts out on debut. I thought he played pretty well. Or tried hard at the very least. Most meters, though, was Joff, 164. Post-contact, Kelmer was 75. No try assists. Line breaks, just the one for Kelmer. Tackle breaks, 4 for Kelmer. Play the ball speed, Jimmy Tarmel at 2.35. That guy just never seems to be put on his back. He's just always getting tackled on his feet. Offloads, 4 each for Joff and Kelmer. Tackles, I've got 4 there for Joff. I think that's obviously a typo. I think he had 44, not 4. And missed tackles for Joff. So you're able to look up that for me as how many tackles Joffa had? I'm pretty sure it was 44. Obviously more than 4.
Yep, I've got the stats page open now. Joffa made tackles. Where's tackles on the list?
While you're looking that up, I'll let Rob go. He's let us know his thoughts on the forwards.
Look, there weren't many good forwards. I mean, obviously you mentioned Tom, 20 runs, 159 metres, tried his ass off, no doubt about that. A couple of plays that late in the game, he put a pass at Peachy's feet, which he probably should have offloaded straight away instead of trying to run with it for a little bit. And he obviously did a dummy half run with about 10 seconds left, which didn't help our cause. But he tried hard. But for me, our standout forward, believe it or not, came from the bench. I thought Zane was incredible. I know he only had 124 metres, but he played with the purpose and the passion that I expected that whole team to play with. And, if he'd have been on there for 80 minutes, he would have been my man of the match. I thought he was absolutely outstanding. I thought Kelmer was very damaging. And, he ultimately could have, given a try assist for the winning try if maybe Kapara had darted back to the left instead of back to the right with a few seconds left. So I thought Kelmer was really good. Joffa was good. Joffa had big meters from, I think he had 164 or thereabouts. So
yeah, it's on the
yeah. So yeah, like it's like there were some good performance. Like Joffa always tries. I'm not like when I'm bagging the team. I just want to say it in general because you don't want to single out players too much because some guys had poor games. Like we said, Jock. I don't think Adam had his best game, but that's not for lack of trying. It's just, my tiny criticism with Adam, and I, it's hard for Adam. I think Adam sees himself as a strike player, but there are a couple of times when we were in the red zone in the second half, Adam was kind of parked on the right, wanting someone to get that ball to him, where I think he needed to just be in control and demanding the ball. Like there was actually one set of 6, he never touched the ball at all, and that's not Adam-like. So I think that's where we missed a ball playing lock, a la Jackson or Tyrone or something like that. So, yeah, it definitely hurt us a bit. But look, the forwards, we tried in the second half, but it was just a rubbish game, guys. It was an absolute rubbish game.
Agreeing with Rachel's comment here, Joffa was only one She noticed talking out there leads by example every week. Definitely noticed on the TV every time there was a couple of tackles, he'd knock the ball free and he'd scream and flex, try and pump the team up. He was definitely trying to lead the team, get something out of the guys. But
he definitely got us a lot of forward momentum in the second half.
Yeah.
I felt in the first half, Newcastle's line speed was super quick.
Yeah.
They weren't doing anything illegal, but we were just too telegraphed with our hit-ups. Like, it was literally one off the ruck hit-ups, and they had three guys ganging in on us. Like, sometimes, like, I'd like New Brown to just take a bit of heat off the forwards. Like, he was not running at all from dummy half or even engaging the markers or the forwards. Like, I think New Brown doesn't like to run in general play very much, so that when he's near the try line, he goes for the hero play for the try. He needs to do more running during the game just to take a bit of pressure off our forwards, because a lot of those one-off rucks were just hospital passes. It was pretty poor. Like, I wasn't happy with New Brown's game. Like, he literally ran once from dummy half, not near the try line, that I noticed. Every other time he just stood there like you or me could have done and just shuttled the ball. And I don't think that's good enough for a first grade. Like their hooker Brayley destroyed us. And he did bugger all in terms of dummy half play. So he really got outpointed there.
Question from Phil on YouTube, Rob. Is Sheens having any input on team selection, or is it all down to Kamali? What are your thoughts?
Look, I can't say something that I don't know. Like, I'm only speculating. But if you go back, say, to the Penrith game, I thought we swapped Mamalo and Toa from the left side of our attack to the right side just to nullify Penrith's left edge that day, because they had Kikau, they had Targo, and they had May. So I thought that was going to be just a one-off week that we swapped sides. But to keep them there on the right side now, it's all looking like a Sheensy shuffle. They've both gone from the left to the right. Naden's gone from his debut game at left centre to right centre to left wing. AJ Kapoa has gone from bench to wing to centre. Adam's gone from bench to centre to 5'8". Pole went from bench to prop to lock. Like, it's just got Sheensy shuffle written all over it. And, I'm not a fan of it. And honestly, the thing with Sheens, everyone loves Tim Sheens. I know he's a nice guy and all that. But the bloke can sell sand to the Arabs. Like, every time he talks, he's believable. But, people forget why he got sacked 10 years ago. And I don't want to go through that shit next year and the year after and having a player on the bench that doesn't get game time. That reeks of Sheens 10 years ago when we had Mitch Brown and Joel Reddy and Tom Humble and Daniel Fitzhenry and all these freaking backs sitting on the bench getting minutes from the 77th minute till the 80th minute. Or, it just reeks of Sheens. And I just think he should be taking over the team, because Kamali's not going to be there next year. Ben Gardner's not going to be there next year. Kalis isn't going to be there next year. So if he's going to be the coach, just get in there and be the coach. What are you so busy on the weekend that you can't get your fingers in on it now? I just think it's a poor cop out, and he's just like letting these other blokes take the heat for a shitty season, and he doesn't want to have anything to do with it. Yet he's pulling the strings, I believe, in who the team is that we're picking every week. But how he doesn't pick Peachy as a ball-playing lock to replace Jackson Hastings is just ludicrous. Absolutely ludicrous.
Just before we get to the 3-2-1, totally forgot we haven't talked about the Papali thing. So I'm just going to play. I ripped the. That wasn't a very good segue. Kind of ripped the Band-Aid off a bit there, but
just before that, Josh,
yep.
You were correct. Joffa was 44 tackles.
44, yeah. I didn't think it. So this is what Channel 9 had with Papali tonight.
Despite putting pen to paper on a 3-year deal.
Obviously, people ask me about it, just even on the street, or family and friends are hitting me up, but that's kind of for my manager to look after. And even if I don't stay here or I do go next year, I want to make sure that this year has no regrets.
The barnstorming lock has revealed the moment that made him rethink the move.
I think it was the coaching acting that went on, and when I went and did sign, it was talking to Madge, and he's an awesome coach. It kind of rattled the cage a bit, and I guess you had to have those conversations, and I guess that was a massive factor for me.
Papali'i says he'll make a final decision on whether he'll honour his contract and join the Tigers once this season is over.
I reckon somewhere in the off-season, because that just distracts me at the moment, because we have a massive opportunity, and I don't want to left any stone unturned this year and look back at it and be like, oh, I shouldn't have let that stuff get in the way.
His focus.
So Isaiah Papali'i, saying he's going to sort it in the off season. Mate, you've signed a contract, and the fact that he's surprised that people are asking him in the street about it. I tweeted this out tonight. He could end all those questions can go away. You just have to come out and say, I'm going to honour the contract. I'm worried about the Eels right now. Just put it to bed, and you signed a contract. Just honour it. Rob, if the NRL allows him to backflip on this, it's a massive precedent that they'll be showing. They shouldn't allow it. They shouldn't allow a player to sign a contract and then months later, he hasn't got a clause in it to say he's using I think he's also using the Madge thing as a bit of an excuse too. What are your thoughts?
Personally, I don't think he's using the Madge thing as an excuse. I think he's got cold feet seeing the shit show that went on around that Madge time, around the fact that we got rid of Madge, that we had all our eggs in Serraldo, that we couldn't get Serraldo. He's starting to get second thoughts about what the freak club am I coming to, number one. Number two, I know you said on the chat you feel like he's still coming. As you said, he could just say, I'm going to the Tigers next year, but I just want to focus on Para this year, and I don't want anything to get in the way of that. That would have been fine. For him to say he doesn't want to talk about it now means, in my opinion, he's going to back out of it, and he wants to back out of it. Because if he said now, I want to stay with Para, okay, then that whole noise about him not coming to the Tigers next year and breaking a contract potentially will disturb Parramatta's run to the finals and all the talk, and he'll be getting asked a question every week, why aren't you going to honour your contract, et cetera, et cetera. So I read it to be that he wants to back out of it. I don't think the NRL let you back out of a contract, Josh. I think our club, or all clubs, just happen to let you out. Like we let Madison off his contract, we let whoever off their contract. So it's up to the club to stand firm on it. History shows our club won't stand firm on it. So, I don't want to hear the club saying, well, if he doesn't want to come here, we don't want him. The guy's in the top 3 back rowers in the comp. He would be an absolutely massive asset to the club. The only way I can see the NRL getting out of this is they say to the clubs like the Tigers, you know what, you're paying him, say, $650 a year or whatever it is for 3 years. We'll give you $650 dispensation on your cap to use elsewhere. You can play him in reserve grade or sit him out for the year. That way we don't get penalised, because if he doesn't want to play for us, suddenly we've got $650,000 more that we can spend on someone else. So we've got to get some sort of advantage if people want to. I think that's the best way the NRL can stop players, doing these sort of moves. But I'm not confident that he's coming one bit, Josh. That really just reconfirmed to me that he's not coming. And from what Benji said the other week in his interview with Jake Duke on Fox Sports, he didn't make me too confident that he was going to come either. So let's just see what the club does about this. But he has got a written contract, and he needs to be playing at the West Tigers next year, and he needs to be convinced that, we're on the up and up, and, we've got Api Coruscant coming as well, who will make a difference to our pack. It'd just be another stabbing to the heart, the multiple stabbings we've had this year, mate. And we just I don't think you can't afford to lose a player of his caliber, mate. He's just got to be our club next year. I don't think our club. I don't think our management will let it happen. I actually have faith that they will go hard at this. He signed a contract. I think once he gets here, he'll be fine. I think the fact that Para have all of a sudden made room to sign him, and he can get his money, his pay rise, and stay where he's comfortable. That's obviously why he wants to backflip. 100%.
But you signed a contract. The Tigers offered you your security, and you chose it. You made the bed, you got to lay in it. And it'll be an absolute joke if that they let it happen. But
Well, we've seen it
as
happen before, mate. We've seen it happen before. So who's to say it won't happen again? We talk a really good game, Josh, but when it comes to like getting things done and sticking to our guns, we don't do it. I'm sorry to say it. And whether the club likes to hear that or not, it's just a fact. You know, just the same as his 2 competition points. We're going to take legal action, rah, 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 all this sort of shit. As soon as the NRL came out, we're not pursuing legal action. Now, whether that's right or wrong, it's not the point. You know, we just talk a big game and you know, we don't end up following it up.
I mean, I talking about Jared just said if they do, who will be playing the second row. I was chatting a bit with Sean Bloor. I asked him if he was any chance of returning this year, and his response to me was, "No, I'm just training hard to try and earn that second row spot alongside Papa next year." So I don't know if Sean is any of it. But the fact that he said that, I mean, it sounds like the players are pretty, pretty satisfied that he's coming. So, what do you make of this whole ordeal, as?
Yeah, I'm really worried. I only just recently caught up on this before we went live tonight, but I really hope he comes. But like you said, Josh, I think if he does come, once he gets here, he won't have as much of a problem because he's going to be here. He's going to be under Benj. He's going to be under Robbie. Both of them will not necessarily know what they're going to be doing, but both of them are going to give it a real solid crack. And I think that's what we could ask for, especially in their first year of this apprenticeship for Benji. But I think he's going to have a lot to do with the player, not necessarily player welfare side of things, but keeping the players on side, keeping them on track, keeping the atmosphere and the vibe, if you want to put it that way, going. So if he does come, once he gets here, I don't think there will be a problem. I hope he comes, but yeah, it's very clear that he definitely wants to stay at Parramatta. They've built something there to the point where they can make it to the second week of finals regularly, but no further. Maybe if he comes to us in a couple of years' time, he'll make it past the semi-finals. One can only hope, anyway.
If he comes next year, I think we can make the finals.
With him and Appy, absolutely.
I think with him and Appy, we can make the finals next year. I think I've said it previously. I don't think 12 out of 24 or whatever the new draw is going to be. I don't think 12 wins.
24.
Yeah, so I think 12 wins should be expected next year. With the amount of money, the right moves are going to be made, but with Appy and Papa coming, I expect top 8 next year. Call me crazy, but I do.
It's been a little bit more lost in all of this ice mess, but I do want to say that it is really good to hear from Appy that he will be honouring his contract and that he is excited to come to the Tigers. And he
plays for the Premiers.
Yeah, exactly. That's something that I hope a lot of Tigers fans will get behind, because it seems like he wants to bring that Panthers mentality to the club, and I think the club will benefit from that. So yeah, I am very much looking forward to having Appy here next year. He should be really good for us.
Mitch said on Facebook, thoughts on Brooks Frizzell potential swap. Is that a thing? Yeah, never heard that. Never heard that. Pop. Why would the Knights let Frizzell go?
No idea.
Yeah, I can't see the Knights do it. Are they dumb enough to do that? Yeah,
they'd be utterly moronic to let him go.
Yeah, I'd love him though. Oh, he's a fantastic player.
A lot of people keep bandying about these potential swaps with Brooks, yet Sheens and Benji and everyone keep saying Brooks is going to be our number 7 next year. So I don't know why these rumours keep popping up. It just
my wife would be happy though. It's one of her favourite players. Okay, MG Pump Solutions. 3, 2, 1, boys. Can you manage to find 3 players to give 3, 2, and 1? Let us know in the comments, guys. I've worked out on the Google sheet how to sort the graph by highest to lowest today. So Jackson Hastings, he's on 47. Joff is on 45. Obviously, Hastings want to get another point this season. So Joff, I think, may sneak into the lead tonight. Ken on 38. Dane on 37. Brooksy on 22. He's obviously not going to move up anymore. So Luciano Leilua is in sixth place still. Who wants to go first?
Rob can go first this time. I've gone first the last few weeks.
Where do I start? 3 points to Austin Diaz. He never made a mistake all game. He never caught a cold sitting on the bench for 80 minutes. No, I'm only joking. 3 points to Dane Laurie. I thought he was the best player on the field. 2 points to Thomas McKaylee. Oh, my God. Zane Musgrove.
All the way from England.
Zane Musgrove. How good am I going? Going like my club. Zane Musgrove. Sorry. I said that to someone yesterday, actually, believe it or not. And 1 point, if I'm going to give someone a point this week, I know he might have missed a few tackles, but Kelma Tuolangi was just dynamic in attack. He put a few good shots on people. There's some honourable mentions there to the debutant Joffa, but they're my 3-2-1. So Dano for 3, Zane for 2, and Kelma for 1.
Is this our first points for Zane this year?
Probably.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, because I haven't got him on the list. I got to make a new name. Sorry, who was the 1?
1 for Kelma Tuolangi.
Kelma. Right, Az.
I'm going to give my 3 to Dano as well. He was probably he was definitely best on ground for us yesterday. He tried hard in everything he did. Was there in attack, and did the best he could in what was a pretty poor performance. I'm going to give my 2 to Joffa. He's been leading from the front, leading by example ever since those comments he made after the Sharks game. Yeah, he missed a few tackles, but I think the rest of his game, making meters, making the tackles that he did make, makes up for it a little bit. And I'm going to give my 1 to Tommy Freebarn. I think it was a very solid debut. I kind of wish, like Rob said before, I wish they started him, because if they wanted to play a ball-playing lock, he should have been playing from the get-go. He was committed to everything he did, and I think it was a pretty solid debut from him. And in a similar joking way to Rob did, I'd like to give an honorary 1 point to Diaz, because he never made a mistake. He 100% completion rate, didn't make no errors, no missed tackles. We didn't even get a chance to see if he was up for the game. He looked like he was enjoying himself, running around on the side of the field in front of me, trying to keep warm. So that was his contribution for the night.
Hey, Josh, can I ask you a question before you do your points?
Sure.
You being the journo amongst us, there was a 6 or 7 minute interview with Kamali and Tamo yesterday. Can you tell me why not one journalist wouldn't ask about how we used our bench rotations and why Diaz didn't get any minutes? Is that too obvious a question, or is that like, have they just got mates in the media that don't want to ask the tough questions? It's a normal question. It's nothing too left field. It's nothing antagonistic. It's just, what was the reason you had a man that wasn't on the field yesterday? Because I don't know why we named him. I want to be the 17th man next week. If they're not going to play a player, give me the jersey. Let me sit on the bench. What's the difference?
Look, firstly, as a journalist, you're taught to ask questions you know the answer of. Like, asking a question as a journalist is about swaying someone, saying something that you want them to say.
Yeah.
What you just asked then wouldn't write a headline. It's like what you just said is what I would call a nerd question, which is a question. This is why we need a media pass for next year, so we can ask the nerdy nitty gritty questions. But my explanation of that would be like, a technical question doesn't sell or get clicks. Like it's not gonna give him anything worth
It could get clicks if
worth
he got
using.
upset with the question. I mean, it could potentially, but the
Yeah,
point is, like, shouldn't a journalist ask questions that the majority of people would want answered? Because I know there'd be a lot of fans thinking, why didn't he get a go?
Yeah.
And why did Pole only get 38 minutes yesterday? He's been one of our best forwards for the last few weeks.
Yeah.
Like, what's that about? Like, it's just a footy question. I don't think it's a nerdy question. It's just a common sense question.
Yeah. I
It's just
say it nerdy as in I'm only joking when I say it. When I say that nerdy, I mean like people actually caring about these guys aren't there to write about the rugby league per se. They're there to get a headline and get more clicks than the guy next to them. So
fair enough.
yeah, I would say that they don't see. Yeah, as a journalist, you're trying to ask questions to get the answer that you want out of someone. That's kind of what you're taught.
Yeah.
It's not just like ask. Oh, I wonder what he's thinking about this. Like it's not. It's
Yeah.
it's about pushing the person to a narrative that you got in your head. So
Fair enough.
My 3, 2, 1. I'm going to go Joff 3. Just yeah, you guys almost convinced me to change my mind, but I don't know. I just liked the passion. I'm going from what I saw on the TV. I liked the passion from Joffa in a game where effort was very low. I felt sorry for him in the fact that no one really seemed to be going with him to that intensity. 2, Dane. And a similar reason for my number 1, I've gone Freeburn as had as well. He kept popping up everywhere, like just tried his guts out. He wasn't anything special, but yeah, he just kept going and going. He was an energizer bunny. He just kept going and kept pushing, kept running, and yeah, show the will to win. On debut, didn't look. Yeah, I mean he's 27, but yeah, that's a cool story too. Yeah, he finally gets his crack at first grade, and I thought he took it with both hands and had a real go. Like can you drop him for next week? Like I think you got to pick him again.
It was weird listening to Kamali's interview. I could be wrong. I might be reading this way wrong. It sounded to me like, Tom got his chance. He's gone okay, and at least he can say he's played first grade now. It was almost like he wasn't going to get another run, which was like. Look, personally, I don't think he's a regular first grader. But if you look at his numbers, like you said, 159 meters. I think over 50 of those were post contact. Like but what I noticed were just the little things like his enthusiasm. I'm talking about when, the Knights committed an error, he was, tapping people on the back saying, come on, boys, let's go. He was just, you can see he's a real team guy and he really embraced the moment. It just should have been a win for the team. That's the sad part. But yeah, look, like I said, if everyone had his enthusiasm, I think we get over the line yesterday. The one thing that disappointed me, I never thought I was going to see such a lack of intensity in our game yesterday, and that was there for at least 60 minutes. It was really poor to see.
Yeah, no, it's a game we definitely want to forget pretty quickly in this season. Yeah, I just hope it's not a sign of things to come, because without Jacko, is this the team we're going to get without Jacko? Going forward, are they just not going to lift? Are they thinking about holidaying in Bali like now? Is that?
Well, I'd say we've lost another one of our best, Josh. I'd say Kenny's out for the rest of the year. Ken Mamala will be gone.
Yeah, so that would make it. We'd almost have 11, 12 guys out now.
I don't know about how many that is exactly, including the loans and the people that have left. Probably. Yeah. Not much to choose from there. Or hopefully, Junior Tupu will get a start if he's gone. But who knows, with the shuffle, mate, we could have New Brown on the wing this week.
Righto, guys. We'll be back on Thursday evening. Thanks to the 60 or so legends that got into the comments, not including the porn bot. I saw it, Carla. I got rid of it. Again, it popped up. YouTube really needs to sort that shit out. But to the humans that were in the chat tonight, thank you so much, and sticking with us for that lengthy discussion. I wouldn't call it a debate. A bit of a journalist clickbaity thing to call it a debate. I would more call it a discussion because we weren't really arguing a point. The now we've got the sex bot jokes going in the comments as well. I think that's time to go to bed. It was a long one tonight. Thanks to everyone who's listening, both live and tomorrow when I get this up on the audio. As you can tell, the COVID brain is starting to hit me pretty bad now. It's pretty good. The only thing about COVID is I can use it as an excuse. My voice sounds like shit. My brain's not working. I can just blame it on COVID-19 in my system. So, boys, have a great week. We'll catch up again on Thursday to preview. Who we got? Sharkies next weekend.
Sharkies.
That's this week, yeah.
So join us Thursday night as we preview that one. And you guys know how we end the episode. I won't cut you off this time, as I jumped the gun on Thursday. Righto, boys. Go the Tigers.
Go the Tigers.
Go the Tigers.
For listening to another episode of the WestsLife Podcast. As always, we are sponsored by West Ashfield Leagues Club and as well as MG Pump Solutions. If you could please subscribe if you'd love to hear us again. We're going to have episodes twice a week, every week this season, Mondays and Thursdays. So we're going to, as the season rolls in, be sure to catch us every week. And if you can, give us a like on the socials. So at WestsLife Pod on Instagram and Twitter. Search for WestsLife Podcast on Facebook. And if you'd like to take part in the show, patreon.com/WestsLife. It's just a couple of bucks a month to help grow the show. We'll see you again next time on the WestsLife Podcast.